Hi, this is Andre Hardy, author of Tear the City Down, out September 1st from Grand Central Publishing, and welcome to One Final Twist.
So, but we'll just jump right in, man. Tell us about Coltrane and his adventures in San Diego.
Yeah, Coltrane is a mix between, I'd say a mix between Easy Rollins and Ray Donovan. He's a quintessential fixer who's, made all the money that he could ever make, but he has a moral wound that he just can't get over. There's a girl that's been missing next door, his daughter's best friend, and he hasn't been able to find her, and he is just brokenhearted. And so against his better judgment, he decides to take a job that he knows is crooked, but he can't do it because he can't help it, because he just wants to feel better.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about football because the story is kind of sort of it's centered around football. You shared locker room with Ron Jaworski and Wilbert Montgomery,
Oh yeah.
and now you're a crime writer. So, how much has football stayed with you? Because this book feels so authentic with some of the ways you share things in this story.
Oh man, I'm so honored to hear you say that, because when I read a book, I know right away if someone's been close to the game.
Mhm.
You can just tell there's this texture and feel to the way they write about it that lets you know they played it, they've been in a locker room, they've been around it, or they're an outsider writing about it. So I really appreciate you saying that. And it was one of those situations where you write what you know, and the idea, I thought, of taking readers behind the scenes into the intimate world of the what happens that they don't see on the field, I thought it would be fascinating.
The and San Diego, or as you refer to it as Dago, I believe in the book.
Yes.
Um, it's as much a character as anybody else in the book because you get to see some different sides of San Diego. The glitzy, fan, touristy kind of thing, and then you could see the crime world. How were you able to pull that in and balance that out?
Yeah, I've been getting asked this question a lot, and I say, well, San Diego does four things really well: weather, Mexican food, Heisman Trophy winners, that running backs, and crime. They
Yeah.
do. The San Diego does those things really well. And I grew up. My mom was a maid at the Hilton Hotel,
Okay.
way back in the '60s, and so I had this really interesting life of spending a lot of time at Mission Bay in the glitz and glam,
Hmm.
and then going home to Southeast San Diego where it wasn't so glitz and glammy. So there's always been two San Diegos for me. And when, growing up and I'm out and about and people say, "Oh God, you're from San Diego. I love that place." I knew that they weren't talking about where I grew up. And so when it came time, to craft a novel, what better place to craft it in this city with these crazy dualities?
Yeah.
It has the the Chamber of Commerce does such a good time of promoting tourism and sunshine and books. And people go to San Diego, they go to the gas lamp, and literally 1 mile from there is Barrio Logan, where so many scenes in the book take place. If they would just walk another mile, they would be in the heart of the grit.
Yeah, I got you. Kind of sounds like Memphis a little bit. I've never been to San Diego, but they promote Memphis kind of the same way. It's blues and Bill Street, and then you go 2 miles and you're in Orange Mound, which is one of the biggest gang areas in the city.
Yeah.
Very violent, but anyway,
Yeah.
this is about you. This is not about Memphis.
Yeah, well, I love it because it really, it speaks particularly to this duality
Mhm.
that people who grow up in those communities have to live with. You know that you don't want to be there, right? You don't want you ask a third grader, what do you want to be when you grow up? None of them say I want to be in a gang, I want to be violent, I want to go to prison. They're talking about, fireman, doctor, but you get crammed in these environments, and what do? to work your way out of it. I mean, you see the dream on TV. It's around you all the time. How do you get there? What do you do to put food on the table?
Now, Coltrane in the story, Coltrane makes some pretty big decisions. Before the story started, if you could sit him down and talk to him about his decisions that he's going to make, what would you tell him?
Oh, great question. I won't tell you what my wife said as she was reading the book, going, "What in the hell is wrong with him?" I would say to him is don't make choices out of raw emotion. Because anytime he does that, it takes him down the wrong path and they just snowball on him. And he makes one and then, oh snap, that's not working out. I gotta make another one. And before you know it, he's in the stew.
Yeah, his journey from the beginning of the book until the very end of the book, it's this huge arc, and he kind of it's almost like a circle. He makes a circle back to himself through the decisions that he makes, and he's got a heart of gold, no doubt, because the what he's looking for the girl, and there's some other girls and stuff in the story that he basically he wants to rescue and do what's right. So his heart is in the right place, but sometimes you don't always make those decisions. The what we would normally make, I guess you could say, because he's a no bullshit kind of guy. I mean, he doesn't take any prisoners basically, but
Right.
his story is just a circle. How he starts, and then he grows, and then he comes back to himself at the end, does some really good stuff. I don't want to give too much away from for the book
Oh
because
man, thank you. I said thank you so much for noticing that. Right.
yeah,
I've had a ton of conversations, but you're the first person to really talk about that arc, that circular arc.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just when you sit and you think what's going through his mind, and we know some of the stuff that he's thinking about, but we don't know a whole lot about his past. We know a little bit about his past, and stuff that he did, and then how he's able to grow emotionally, and how he calls his buddies, and they don't even question when he makes the phone calls. They're there.
Yeah.
That says a lot about his character.
Yes. Yes. And the groundwork that he's put in before we enter the novel to
Hmm.
have that camaraderie, that ability, when you pick up the phone and you call somebody, there has to be some cachet there for them to go, what do you need? Doesn't matter what it is, what do you need? What have you done to earn that? So one of the things that I did in the book was, and you caught it, was to have those kinds of things happen where I didn't really need to write about it. You felt it, right?
Hmm.
Just by his choices and the reaction of the people around him, you were able to feel who he was.
Yeah. Now this is a chunker. I mean, this is a thick girl right here. So, how long did it take you to get this done? How from the time that Coltrane entered your mind until you were able to get it submitted? How long did it take you to do that?
I wrote and worked on this book in earnest over the course of about 11 years in fits and starts.
Yeah.
I was writing and I just could not get the book right. And so I quit and go, oh, you're wasting your time. But there was always this thing in the back of my mind, like, you're a writer, you got to write. And ultimately, one of my former teammates from the Eagles, I was talking to him. This is in 2016. And he says to me, have you heard about the NFL Trust? And I'm like, no. He goes, oh man, they'll pay for you to get a degree and whatnot. And I'm like, what? So I just thought MFA. I think the MFA is going to set me free. And so 2016 is when I really, really dug in, and it's been nonstop.
Yeah. How were, the street names kind of threw me because there's so many street names of characters in this book. How were you able to keep up with who was who and who was doing what? Did you have a murder board type thing, or did you use note cards? How did you do that?
I didn't, although they are different and have different names. Once I say that, it's going to make sense. But they all were archetypes and served a specific function, right? They rarely overlapped.
Yeah.
They had very specific functions, and so by name, I knew what that character's role was, and if that function needed to be served, I just called them up.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah,
I read on your website that you're working on the next Coltrane, and the this one did not really end in a, it was not a cliffhanger, but it kind of teased to the next book. Are you working on it now? Is it going to take
yeah.
10? Is it going
Yeah,
to take 10 years?
I'm in the middle of book two, hammering away, and for a while, the early reviews on this book were so good. I'm like, shoot, man, am I going to be a one hit wonder? Am I going to have a sophomore slump? Ultimately, the book has come to me. I think it's going to be another good one.
Oh,
We'll see
good.
Coltrane again. He'll be back in San Diego, and it'll be another football story and a football murder story in San Diego.
Yeah. So this is a very violent and gritty story, but it also is tender and emotional.
Yeah.
How were you able to bring those together and balance the rawness and the grittiness and the crime with the heart and the emotion that he shows through this?
Because I've experienced it.
Mm.
I grew up in a neighborhood like the one you talked about in Memphis.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't in a gang, but I was certainly gang adjacent because
Yeah.
the people who were gang banging were guys that I played football with since we were 5 or 6 years old. And so even though their exteriors are incredibly hard, I've had these incredible tender moments with these men,
Mhm.
and being able to see past, there's that moment in the novel where Coltrane talks about the men that carry around the heavy labels,
Mhm.
right? But in reality, they go to father daughter dances, and so I live that razor thin line between violence and tenderness, and so I just really access some of the emotions that I felt in having people around me die, or seeing tragedy, or having to face really, really tough circumstances.
Yeah. Now, Coltrane, he's a big jazz fan. Do you like jazz?
I love jazz.
You need to create you a playlist to go with your book. Put it on your website so people can download the playlist and listen to it. Some of the stuff that, especially some of the stuff that Coltrane listens to.
Yeah, duly noted. I will do that.
When you started writing this one, how many in your mind, how many books do you think Coltrane may be a part of?
Well, I've got three in the bag right now. I've got, the sequel is in motion. I have a good idea for book three.
Mhm.
So there'll be three at least, and let's see what the public appetite is for Coltrane. I'm sure I could write four or five if the appetite is there.
But just don't take 11 years. Now we need
Yeah, right.
we need to get you
Yeah,
done to
listen, my agent looked me in the eye and said, "You don't get 11 years this time. You need to get that other book out." I was like, "Yes, sir."
and it's crazy because it took you 11 years to write it. It took me 2 days to read it.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. How it's just that good that it sucks you into this world, and the next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have to be up at 7:30 to get my day going. So a little football question. A
Well, that's
football
well,
question
that's good
for you.
news. I'm glad I was able to disturb your sleep.
That's right. It's always good though. I got a little football question. So who do you root for? Root for since you played for a few different teams. Who do you root for on Sundays?
I'm rooting for the Chargers, Eagles, 49ers, Seahawks
Gotcha.
in no particular
No
order.
particular order.
But the interesting thing about today's game with the advent of so much free agency, like players, I like to root for players and not
Yeah.
necessarily teams anymore. Like I
Hmm.
have my favorite players that I
Yeah.
like to root for.
Yeah. The game, the face in the game of football has totally changed because you played in 84, 85, 86. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I grew up back. That was, Joe Montana. That was, when, I grew up watching football back in the 80s. I was a child. I was a young child of the 80s, but I was a child of the 80s. And today, it doesn't seem like it's the same because I have my favorites. I'm a big Derrick Henry fan because
Oh, me too.
he played for the Titans. Of course, he started with Alabama, which we won't talk about Alabama because
Yeah.
I'm a Vols fan. But
Oh, yeah,
but uh, but
baby.
when Derrick Henry came to Titans, and they messed up when they let him go, but that's the game. It's money, and he has to go. Who's going to take care of him? So
Right, right. Yeah, the game is so, so, so different now.
yeah.
So different.
It's funny you talk about the stadium that the Chargers play in now. I mean, these $10 billion stadiums. It's unreal the amount of money that goes into these stadiums. And, they're building a
Uh,
new one. They're building a new one in Tennessee, and it's going to have a retractable roof, and because they want to host the Super Bowl. So
yeah. It's unreal. And quite honestly, for me, the experience is not that enjoyable. There's just too much going on. You go to SoFi and it's like sensory overload. Like,
yeah,
man, can I just want to watch the game? I don't need a DJ and Vegas
exactly.
flashing lights. I don't need all that. I want to see the game.
Yeah, I've only been to a few NFL games. Of course, mostly it's Titans, in
Yeah.
Nashville. But if you ever want to experience an electric stadium, go to Neyland when they're
Okay.
playing at night. When the Vols are playing at night in Neyland, it is unreal. The atmosphere in that stadium. I mean, 102,000 people.
You know what? I
It
am
is.
so looking forward to that. I'm in the South now, and I'm going to be hitting some games.
Oh, are you really? Where do
Yeah,
you like to go
yeah.
tonight?
I'm in Charlotte.
Oh, okay. So you're not too far away.
I know. I know.
Yeah, welcome to the South. It's
Thank you.
it's different here.
Yeah. You know what? I absolutely love Charlotte. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I told my wife I'm never leaving.
So, what does success mean to you as an author? You had success on the field as a football player. What does success as an author mean to you?
Great question. There were really two things. One was to have the respect of my peers, the people that have been doing this, I've always admired. Ace Atkins, Todd Goldberg, Sean Cosby, George Pelicanos, even Paula Hawkins has chimed in. And so to have that first tier level of respect from people who do this was tier one. I think
Yeah.
tier two is to be able to have these, conversations with you. Just being with you here right now brings me a lot of joy because you engage with my art. You gave to me the most valuable thing that you have, your time and attention.
Yeah.
You don't have anything that's more valuable. And in return, I gave you something that you can enjoy. And that's the most beautiful and the fairest exchange that we have. And there's nothing that makes me more happier.
Yeah. When I'm a big fan of Sean and Ace. You broke up a little bit talking about them, but when Megan reached out to me about this book and she sent the blurb and it had Sean Cosby's name on it, and I was like, I don't need to go any further. I was like, just send it to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. Yeah. My guys, man, they've been so great.
Yeah.
Talk about camaraderie.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are just salt to the earth human beings.
So wait until you start hitting up the big conferences. The real big one is BocerCon. It's back in the United this year. It's in Calgary, I believe. I'm
Yeah,
not
to
gonna get to
Calgary.
go to Calgary, but next year it's in Washington D.C. And the amount of crime writers and thriller writers that are there, it's unreal. And it's such a family feel of atmosphere. And there are literally 5 or 6 thousand people at this thing. And the authors take time and they talk to everybody that's in line. They sign every book. They take pictures. I'm sure they are worn out by the end of the
Yeah,
3 day
yeah.
because it's like a 3 day thing, and they do panels and they ask questions. You can just and it's just the crime community. That sounds like organized crime, but the crime writing community. It's just it's so fun, and and you get to kill people on the page
Right.
on the page, and then you talk about killing
Yeah,
people and
yeah,
all
yeah.
this and getting your revenge, and it's such a fun thing. So I really hope you get to go to that because I want to get this signed
I
eventually one
will,
day.
I will, I will be there in DC. That's for sure. Count.
Yeah.
You can put that in the books.
All right. It's a great time. Oh, tell us a little bit about your process. Do you plan it out? Do you just start writing in your pants? How do you do that?
Yeah, I'm a 100% pantser. I sit down. I usually have, I typically have an idea of what's at the end of the book,
Uh-huh.
and so I write that. I write towards that end, decision by decision. Well, if this happens, what's the next logical thing that can happen? And then if that happens, what's the next logical thing? And you can build a story like that.
Yeah. And obvious and this wrapping up a little bit about this book, it's ultimately about family, and the bonds of even you don't have to be blood to be family. That's so obvious through this whole book. What are your thoughts on family and found family in the book?
Oh man, I love you. Man, that's exactly when I try to describe the book, I say that, Coltrane is the hub of the wheel of
Mhm.
love, but his family is his daughter, his best friend, his next door neighbor, the Somali immigrants, the Chicano Park, and all of it is really centered around family, and not only blood, but found family. And ultimately, at the end of the day, if we could learn that lesson, humanity, us
Mhm.
people, if we could learn that lesson, the world would change, because Coltrane's an invitation to sit in a stadium seat next to me. You go to a football game, if you're on field level and I'm in the bleachers up top, we see completely two different games. The score might be the same, but we've witnessed completely two
Mhm.
different games.
Yes.
So this is an invitation to come over and sit next to me and see the humanity of someone who doesn't look like you. He has a different set of goals, but what you see in him that's familiar is love of family. And anybody can get that.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything that you want to talk about that I didn't ask?
Oh man, your question. Literally, this is the best interview I've had thus far.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it is. It is the best interview I've had thus far. You read the book
Yes.
and you got it.
Yeah.
You got.
That's one I think thank you very much. That's one of the things that I do. I interview a lot of authors and I read every book, but I don't always connect with every book, and get the feel. But and with you being a debut, I was when Megan reached out and said, will you think about have him on your podcast? I was like, well, sure. I'll put anybody on the podcast. And then after I read this book, I mean, I've got I've got pages and pages and pages of stuff we could talk about, but it all had to be cut out. It all had to be cut out because it's spoiler, and we don't want to do too many spoilers. And if my partner in crime was here, Teresa, she would wear you out because I, we did an interview the other day, and the book was really good, but she had 13 pages. I was like, Teresa, we got to keep it under 30 minutes.
Wow.
I was like, people lose interest in, 30 minutes is the sweet spot. So that's what we try to,
Right.
25, 30 minutes, because most people, that's a quick drive home or whatever, that's what we try to do.
So Teresa pulls the book apart, huh?
She rips it. She really does.
Yeah.
She just, and she had a doctor's appointment today, and she was hoping she would make it back, but she didn't. She sent me some questions to ask, and I did ask a few of her questions.
All right.
Before we close, though, to get back on track, where can we find you on social media? Where can our listeners find you? What handles and what apps do you use?
I got swept away in all of them, but settled on Instagram.
Okay.
Andre Hardy Books at Instagram. I have handles on, TikTok, LinkedIn, and whatever, but I don't have the energy or the time. Yeah,
It's a
I picked one and said we're going that way, and I hope it works out.
I think Instagram is the way to go these days.
Yeah.
Used to be TikTok, but not so much with them being banned
Yes.
and not banned. And I mean, I still
Yeah.
post on it, but it's not like what it used to be.
Yeah.
If somebody wants a signed copy of this book, is there a local bookstore close to you that they can order signed copies?
Park Road.
Park Road.
Park Road Books in Charlotte. If they happen to be close, I will be there on the 24th, I believe it is,
Okay.
for a reading and signing.
All right. And that was my next question. Are you going to have a tour with this book? Are you going to be able to
Yeah,
go around?
so starting West Coast, I'll be in San Diego on September 1st, Los Angeles so that'll be Warwick Books in La Jolla in San Diego,
Okay.
September 1st.
Okay.
Vroman's in Pasadena in Los Angeles, September 2nd.
Okay.
I'll be at Poison Pen on in Scottsdale on the 14th of
Okay.
September. And think it is here I could tell you real quick. I'll be in Charlotte on Wednesday, September 23rd at Park Road Books in
Okay.
Charlotte.
Thank you to Andre Hardy, author of Tear the City Down. It's available September 1st from Grand Central Publishing, wherever books are sold. Thank you to Stephanie, Megan at Megan Beatty Communications, Katana at Grand Central. Good luck with this. You all need to check this book out. It is incredible. Thank you for joining me today, and we will talk to you all next time.
Thank you.